Our understanding of the Somnoire is actually pretty complete if we're talking in terms of available information in-game. But if someone wants to actually go through the information, they'd have to go through the Dreaming Deep game mode and the version 1.4 story, which isn't ideal. That's what this presentation's for. Right, so what is the Somnoire then? The Somnoire is a special zone in Solaris where all of humanity's dreams from the far past to the present are stored. These dreams are then observed and filtered by two programs, Ebony and Ivory Gatekeeper, to see if one of them holds the solution to solving the lament. But by Ebony Gatekeeper's admission, this solution isn't very elegant, nor reliable, nor practical, nor efficient. But he says that if it even sparks a little bit of hope, then it's a solution worth pursuing. We're still not sure about who made the Somnoire, as Ivory Gatekeeper was rather tight-lipped about it. Apparently, a rover is vital for its continued function, and anything relating to them are typically under lock and key, so that conversation should be tabled until later. These stored dreams are also what gives the Somnoire its liminal space appearance. Mirroring reality, the insides of the Somnoire seems to have its own residence and culture, considering Dorothy exists, and in the Winding Ix's Mire 100% Clear and the Dreaming Deep storyline, film festivals are apparently frequently held complete with its own staffing and venue. People from reality may also enter the Somnoire when they sleep and dream, but only the Dreamwalker, namely Rover, can interact with the dreamers. This also means that the dreamers cannot interact with the other dreamers, and much like regular dreams, most memories will vanish when the dreamer wakes. However, the Somnoire does not have infinite storage space. There is a load limit, and it's Ebony and Ivory Gatekeeper's job to decide which dream to delete to allow the Somnoire to continue storing newer dreams, starting from the dreams that has the least value. If this load limit is exceeded, the dreams stored in the Somnoire will encroach into the real world. Under unique circumstances, such as due to Threnodian Leviathan's influence over consciousness in Raguna, people's nightmares may manifest as special tested discords. The real meat of the Somnoire, though, is in the Dreaming Deep. The Somnoire is structured upon layers and layers of dreams. The further in you go, the older the dreams get, and the more dangerous it is. What lies at the deepest layer of the Somnoire are the remnants of a previous civilization and a trapped Threnodian that chased after it. How this happened was actually properly documented in the Dreaming Deep's last story, Cinema House Murders. There was once a civilization and, like many stories, an accompanying Threnodian. They had no chance of winning against it, so Ebony and Ivory Gatekeeper approached them with the offer of at least storing the civilizations inside the Somnoire. It's no different from complete destruction, but at least on some level they will be preserved. The residents, however, refused and continued fighting anyway, and as predicted, the civilization was reduced to rubble and ash. Ebony and Ivory were arguing amongst themselves on what to do because even rubbles have their uses. Ebony wanted to turn the remnants of the civilization into fuel to sustain the Somnoire's functions. Ivory meanwhile wanted to go with the original plan and store the civilization inside the Somnoire, recreating their memories as streams inside. Unable to reach a consensus, they decided to just store the civilization inside for now and decide later. Unfortunately, storing an entire civilization's worth of memories attracted that very same Threnodian, and it dove into the Somnoire after it. In order to protect the Somnoire, Ivory and Ebony was forced to shatter the realm into several layers, completely fragmenting the Threnodian and thus sealing it. But even without a real form or prior memories of itself, the Threnodian still continued to exist and slowly tried to stitch itself together alongside the fragments of the civilization it once devoured. Through this, it learns human culture, society, history, and stories, and through this, the Threnodian develops a soul. This Threnodian soul is named Dee. Dee describes herself as a detective that wants to learn more about humanity, and she does this by going through the memories of the previous civilization and making films out of them. There are plenty of posters in the Dreaming Deep that's just Dee self-inserting into multiple scenarios dressed as films to learn more about humanity. Dee admits that back when she was still present in the real world, she never tried to understand humanity, and just operated on the belief that if she believes that something is true, then she should destroy anything that could prove her wrong. The example she gives is that if I believe that no one has the ability of speech, then I should erase anything that is able to talk so that my falsehood can remain a truth. If you think about it, it's kind of like an inverse of a certain quote. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Dee hopes that one day it'll accumulate enough knowledge about humanity to make a movie that can rebuild our world. What Dee means by this is still pretty ambiguous, but let's make a few guesses and line up a few things. The Somnoire contains memories of everyone who has walked in Solaris. Past Rover is certainly one of those people. Dee is a Threnodian that has studied about humanity through the Somnoire's dreams, and at some point must have also come across memories of Rover's homeland. Past Rover also alluded to this a bit in 3.1, saying that they would go to what we would call dreams and stare at what was once their homeland. My big guess is that Dee wants to eventually be able to make a film that can teach Rover about their homeland. But what do you think? Dee existing, however, does not mean that the Threnodian is gone though. At the end of Cinema House Murders, Dee personally dispatches the Threnodian, or at least drives it away when Rover solves the mystery. We can reasonably assume that Dee is decided gained a conscience, and whatever was left behind is just a beast to be chained. At the end of the movie, Dee gives Rover her cap as a sign of goodwill and asks you to come back once you've gathered more stories for her to read. So to recap, the Somnoire is a zone created by people who Ebony and Ivory won't elaborate further on that collects all of the dreams from the people who walk in Solaris from all of history to today. The function of the Somnoire is to scrub all of the dreams in Solaris to see if any of them contain solutions to the lament. Those who do not are flushed out by Ebony Gatekeeper to save on storage space. Ivory Gatekeeper's job then is to maintain the Somnoire's functions so that it continues to work without issues. The environment inside the Somnoire is similar to that of liminal space due to all of the dreams inside it. This space is also home to its own natives and residents who have their own culture, the Solaris Film Festival being one of them. Dreamers who appear in the Somnoire cannot interact with the other dreamers, and when they wake up, much like a regular dream, they will remember relatively little. Only the Dreamwalker can freely interact with the contents inside the Somnoire. The Somnoire doesn't have infinite storage space, and if it is exceeded, the dreams will begin to spill onto the physical world. There are cases where due to special circumstances, like the effects of the Threnodian Leviathan in Raguna, dreams can be manipulated. This causes them to manifest as nightmare TDs. The structure of the Somnoire is layered, and the deepest part of the Somnoire is where Dee resides. For the ease of understanding, we can just call this place the Dreaming Deep. Dee is the result of a Threnodian who was sealed inside the Somnoire when it chased after a civilization. To seal it, Ebony and Ivory had to break the Somnoire into layers, fracturing and burying the Threnodian under it. The Threnodian tried to piece itself together using the Somnoire's fragments, as in humanity's dreams, and eventually developed a soul. This soul is Dee. Dee continues to learn about humanity through filmmaking to understand them better, and wants to eventually be strong enough to have the opportunity to rebuild our home, whatever that may be. She later asks Rover to come back with more stories. As of right now, Dee keeps the Threnodian of the past chained at the bottom of the Somnoire. That's kinda all we know about the Somnoire. This aspect of Wuthering Waves rivals Past Rover in terms of interest for me, so hopefully we get more of it as time passes. But this aspect of the game seems really tied to Past Rover, especially with Dee, so Kuro will probably use this part of the lore really sparingly. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, thank you!